Everybody. My name is Asia Smith. I'm a senior psychology student at North Carolina Central University, and today I'm going to be presenting my final research presentation for my undergrad thesis class. And throughout this course, I was known as the Solo Research Fellow. So my research question was, does yoga improve body image in young adult women? And so before I can really get into the literature review and the research that I conducted throughout the semester, I first do want to touch on how did I find yoga and body image throughout this research experience. So yoga was known as the mind and body practice that fosters physical, psychological, and spiritual well-being through breathing techniques, posture, meditation, and ethical principles. Body image was how individuals' thoughts of themselves, looking at the cognitive affective and behavior that impacts the individual, how the individual evaluates their physical appearance. And so I did conduct a few literature reviews. First one would be on yoga, second one was on body image, and then the third one was on the relationship between yoga and body image. But the first one I'm going to talk about is the research on yoga. So we did find that yoga did help reduce stress and anxiety and affects the brain and body. So when we looked at how it affected the stress and body, we saw that individuals with anxiety disorder were more likely to reduce their or improve their emotional regulation after yoga. When we look at the ICU nurses, which is like a high stress professional, we saw that yoga did help reduce their occupational stress. And then when we look at caregivers who are caregivers of children with disabilities, we did see that they can experience lower stress and improvement of their well-being. When we look at the effects of the brain and body, we did see that yoga the benefits of yoga did go beyond than just physical movement. We saw through a physiological research that yoga did help improve the cardiovascular functions and stress regulations. And then we looked at the EEG research where it shows the increase of alpha activities in the brain. And alpha activities in the brain are linked to relaxation and cognitive functions. And then lastly, looking at the emotional regulation and well-being study, we did find that yoga works on both the neurological and physic system together. When we look at the research on body image, we do see that self-esteem shapes how we saw how body image impacts the self-esteem and how it is shaped by the social environment. So going back to self-esteem, we did see that people with low self-esteem tend to be more vulnerable to the negative influence such as criticism and often compare themselves. Looking at the physical, it also did seem that self-esteem shapes through media exposure. So being on social media a lot, especially looking at peers and friends and family, we also did see an increase in social comparisons, which leads to body dissatisfaction. And then lastly, with the combination of the low self-esteem and body image, we did see that how the person sees themselves did affect how they saw their physical appearance. When we look at shaping the environment, media, and cultural standards, we did see that through social media, body image was often through social media, body image or just images overall did promote unrealistic beauty standards. So individuals who go and see their favorite influencers or saying like this is how we should present ourselves, people tend to feel less discouraged and insecure about how they felt. When we look at cultural norms, most cultures do discourage certain body types and are more strong with athletic individuals. And then in a longitudinal study, we did see that that pressure did build over time, which decreased self-esteem. So yeah, the more social comparison they do, the more cultural pressure they have, the less their self-esteem reduce over time. And then lastly, the last literature review portion that I did do was yoga and body image. So this point I did find that yoga and body image do increase body awareness and do promote self-love. So when I looked at this how yoga itself, how practicing yoga, we did see that people tend to be more help improve the body image more. We did see it helped to focus on their appearance. Individuals become more aware of their body feeling and functions. We did see that in the mindfulness study that the increase of body appreciation helped reduce that body help reduce body appearance. Mindfulness practices, we did see that individuals became more accepting to bodily changes, and it create more of a compassion, non-judgmental relationship with the individual and their body. And lastly, through patient, I don't know why I can't say this. Through cancer patients, we also see that they become more in tune with their body rather than how did they appear. And then when we look at promoting self-love, we see that yoga did help promote self-love by encouraging and compassion connection with one's body. So for example, the function appreciation study, we did find that being focused on your appearance help individuals to value their body functionality. We did see an increase in body appearance and healthier behavior, like mindful eating. Yoga did help reduce harmful behaviors that are linked to body satisfaction. And then we also did see an increase in self-comparison, which helped decrease the eating disorder symptoms in another study. And so before I could talk about how I conducted my study, I do want to look at a previous study that conducted the same thing. This was Ariel and Associates, which was conducted in 2019, and their research question or the title of their study was, does yoga improve body image in young adult women? So for her research methodology, she did have 75 participant young adult women who did range from the ages of 18 and 30. The recruitment was through volunteers who was founded through flyers that they advertised, college campus systems, and university announcements. To measure this, they did use a pre and post test for a 12-week study, 60 minutes a week, twice a week for 60 minutes. And for their data collection, they did use a self-report using the multidimensional body self-relations questionnaire appearance scale. And for the data analysis, they did mostly look at the appearance evaluation, the body area satisfaction, and appearance orientation was the 3 points that they heavily looked at. And they did look at the pre and post test between the yoga and the control group and how they have changed within. For my methodology, I used 40 female participants who was also young adult between the ages of 18 and 30. I recruited them through social media, advertisements through social media. We measured the post and pre and post tests between the experimental and control group. And then to collect our data, we also used the multi-dimensional body self-regulation questionnaire appearance scale, and also performing a 12-week intervention program. And for my descriptive data, this is the data we collected. We found that most of our people who conducted the study identified, 57.5% identify as female. Rest of them was female assigned at birth, but they did go, had a change in gender roles. For student status, most of our students, 65.2% was students at a college or university. For our, what do you call it? For our demographic, looking at race, we saw most of our participants was African American, which was 77.5%. And then the ages ranged from, with most of the people who did participate in the study was about 19 to 20. And yeah. So for my inferential statistics, oops, I had to conduct two types of inferential statistics. And the first one was being a pair t-test to compare the pre and post test from the MBS scores. The results did show that the post-test scores was more significantly higher than the pre-test scores, which suggests that body satisfaction was improved overall. After conducting my pair sample t-test, I then went in and did a independent sample t-test. And looking at this independent sample t-test, it was to show whether the participants in the yoga interventions was significantly affected by body image between the yoga and non-yoga group. And we looked on that based on the changes of score. So the results did suggest that participants who are engaging in the yoga experience seem to have greater improvement in body satisfaction compared to those who was not. So overall, looking at these results, we did see that participants who engaged in yoga experienced greater improvement in body satisfaction compared to the ones who didn't. And so my key takeaways for this presentation was that yoga is very powerful, a powerful intervention that not only improve physical health, but it do also help with psychological well-being and body image. It help people boost their confidence. It could be a healthier intervention and a more accessible intervention too. And it also do promote healthier outcomes when we look at emotions, body satisfaction, and also mental health. Here are my references. And that is all. I want to thank you everybody for listening. Special thanks to my professor in Spring 26 undergrad thesis. Y'all have helped me through this process. And are there any questions?